I'm going to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
6 months in, blew through all my money. I had like $12K credit card debt. My credit card's about to be maxed out. Rent was coming up, and I had 2 roommates, and I didn't know if I could pay rent. And I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I ain't got no support. I ain't got no parents. I ain't got no friends. You know what I mean? And nobody got money around me. Like, we're all broke.
I gotta
so
figure this out.
I got to figure this shit out.
Facts.
So the 6 month was my first deal. I got my first deal when I was just like, when it was the darkest. I mean, dude, this industry had me borderline in tears more than once. Like, I'm not smart enough, not good enough. I can't do this. I don't understand these contracts. This guy is 50 years old. Why would he trust me to purchase his first out? You know what I mean? Things like that.
Definitely.
And then that first deal came through, and I was holding up a check for $13,000. Wiped out on my debt. I had a little money to pay rent. That first one was the game changer.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the UpNUp Podcast on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rubino.
And I'm DJ man.
What's up, DJ?
Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year?
Yeah.
Can we still say Happy New Year?
Yeah.
Larry David, I seen a tweet. Larry David said you can't say Happy New Year after the 7th of January.
Why?
I don't know.
A week? Oh, yeah.
We don't got to listen to him, though.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, brother. Yeah. And Happy New Year to all y'all listening and first-time listeners, as well as the family members. Welcome to the new year. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get things started. For those first-time listeners, as I stated, this is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture, right? We do that by providing amazing, uplifting, inspiring stories of individuals, groups, movements, hustlers, shakers, pioneers, right?
Yeah.
Change makers.
Yeah. Well, that's a new one.
That's a new one? Yeah, I could keep going, bro. But ultimately, man, really here to amplify the stories, man, and really try to inspire our community out there, right? And if this is your first time listening, welcome to the family, man. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We're going to keep rocking, right? Always. Into the new year. Now, getting that out the way, you don't got no announcements, right, bro?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Not yet.
Well,
if you feel free, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Say what's on your mind, whatever. Now, getting that out the way, obviously, if you're a consistent listener, you know how it gets down. We bring amazing guests up here, right? That's our MO, first and foremost, right? And today's guest, I'm excited. We're excited. Is a man who I'd say whose hustle and commitment to excellence in his ventures and pursuits is nothing short of motivating. And inspiring. He's definitely a true culture cultivator. He's keeping everything he's doing on the up and up, right?
Yep.
Right. A little bit of insight on the work this brother's been doing. He represents the wonderful world of real estate and investing with a long resume of excelling as one of the top industry leaders with over $250 million in real estate sales to date. Major, right? And a little bit more background. In 2017, he was actually named one of the 425 Business Magazine's 30 Under 30 professionals. In addition to that, he's also had the honor and has the honor of serving as one of the proud members of the Forbes Real-Estate Council, along with other top industry leaders in the space. And I'm saying all this to say, with the credentials, with the background, with the resume, and the wealth of experience and knowledge this guy has been able to attain thus far, all of it is attributed to nothing else but the journey, right? And the story and how he got to where he is, and he's just getting started, which is even crazier, right? Yeah. So let's just get straight to him, man. I'm excited to bring him here for the audience, for the family members. Our guest is none other than the motivating force himself, Lucas Pinto. Can we get a round of applause, man?
Yeah.
Give it up.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you for having me on the podcast. And I heard it's the first one of the year.
Yes,
and
sir.
I hope I could provide some value to the listeners.
Come on, man.
Man.
It's a pleasure having you. It's an honor, man. How you doing today? How's your day going?
Life is good, man. Life is good. No complaints.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Good.
Let's take that message and 10x that message.
Come on, baby. 10x, man.
I seen that. I had to say that. So if you're familiar with the show, we always start the show with a quote of the day, something to kind of get the vibe right, get the mood right. Brother man Erm.
All right.
Man of the quotes. Come on, start us off right with the year, man.
It's been a long time, man. But the quote of the day is the 3 C's of life: choices, chances, and changes. You must make a choice to take a chance, or your life will never change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come harder.
No. You came correct. That's another C word. You came correct on that one. Who's that quote by?
Zig Ziglar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to
The
Zig.
author. Yep.
Shout out to Zig, man. You want to run it back?
Yeah, I'll run it back.
Some people
man.
might have been snoozing, man.
All right, for sure. So the quote is the 3 C's of life: choices, chances, and changes. You must make a choice to take a chance, or your life will never change.
I like that, bro. I like that. That actually goes into, and we bring in the quotes obviously because it's a great conversation starter. But in reading kind of up on your work, right?
Yeah.
I was able to pull a quote from an article in the Forbes Real-Estate Council, and one thing you said that stuck out to me was, you said, be obsessed with getting your client your product or service, be obsessed with providing them with the highest level of service and satisfaction, and be obsessed with solving their problems and growing your business in the process. And that stuck out to me because I'm curious if you can explain what the work you're doing with you and your team, how would you say that mantra is displayed in what you guys do and what you provide, if you could?
Yeah, man. So I'm in an industry, real estate, all across the United States is hyper competitive.
Yeah.
Like there's over 27,000 realtors in the Puget Sound area. And when I first got into the industry, everyone around me, best friends, family, tried to talk me out of it because they said it was too competitive.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's a lot of realtors, but the competition really isn't there because the messy middle, the averageness is what most people are stuck at. And for you to rise to the top 10% or 5% of your industry, it just takes a little bit more. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And the more industries I started looking around, I'm like, man, every industry is competitive. Show me an industry that isn't competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're going to be grinding and hustling in any industry, but if you put in that little bit more effort to serve your client a little bit more, to go one step above and beyond, the results for that little effort are unproportional. You
That's
know,
real.
It's crazy. Like in my industry, man, there's, out of those 27,000 realtors, there's 13% earning 80% of the money. Like that's crazy to think about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
in most industries, like that's the way they roll, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the top 10% get the bulk of the money.
Yeah. I like that. I like that term you said, messy middle. I like that,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense when you break it down that way.
For real. So let's take it back. So we just want to get into your early life, where the journey started,
Man.
growing up,
Yeah. So I was born in Brazil. And we migrated to the United States. I think I was probably about 6 years old. And it was me, my parents, and my sister. And Brazil's a third world country, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's my family was just looking for some sort of better life. And we moved to Naples, Florida. In Naples, Florida, it's like old, rich retirement community. And we got there and my mom had to go clean houses, my dad had to go clean boats. My dad in Brazil was an attorney. So you could imagine for him, like from
transition
from being a well-respected attorney to now cleaning boats.
Yeah.
And I think as I look back in my life, I think at an early age, for me, what I realized is like, man, money will solve most of the problems around my household. You know what I mean? Like, it might not make you happy, but it will solve a bunch of problems we got going on around here.
Yeah.
So that's, that kind of started since I was young. It started this thing where like, if I could solve a lot of the problems for the people that I love by acquiring resources that I don't have and I don't know how to get.
Yeah. No, that's real. And I want to kind of stay there for a second because I think our childhood upbringings really play a major role in our present day, right?
Yeah.
And if you could look back, I guess you mentioned your parents, but like, how would you say they were influential in your mindset growing up?
Yeah, I think looking back to my dad, I think the work ethic that I have today is from my dad. Like he he was a workhorse, bro. You know, he was willing to put in the hours. And he also taught me a lot of what not to do in regards to managing money, or, there are certain lessons in there that I picked up that I'm like, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to take this one.
Yeah.
And for my mom, I mean, my mom was just a simple lady. You know what I mean? She was just always caring and nurturing. But to be honest, and not to put down my parents, like it's there were lessons in there, like a lot of values that were instilled, but in regards to, my career, I had to go outside to learn that. But I realized that at a young age. I realized that I had to go to other people to get that because my parents didn't have it.
No.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Even like, I mean, we kind of, it's kind of the same story with us.
Sure,
Our parents were immigrants, and it's like,
where from?
Eritrea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, or just the Horn of Africa, East Africa.
Okay.
So, just getting that mindset where they sacrifice. So it's like, you're like, it's kind of like just go to school, but then we kind of have to go outside of that. So I like how you brought that up. Like we go outside of that and we kind of like learn stuff.
It's instilled in us. You kind of see what's needed based on what's not there, and you try to figure out how to go get it, right?
Yeah.
No, that's real, man. Now as you're kind of growing up, right? And I think people try their hands at a lot of things, right? People see you now and they see a well-polished real estate professional and investor. But what were some of those kind of like stepping stone type of jobs or things that may have been the plan, but ended up becoming a stepping stone? Do you have stuff like that?
Yo, of course, bro. I mean, my first job. So I grew up around, like most kids. Florida's so diverse. That's what I love about it. So I got to see so much of different cultures and different class levels and income levels. But my first job was at 15 years old. They would pick us up after football practice freshman year. It was this guy, Paul, would pick us up in a van, and there would be like 12 of us, sweaty as hell.
Shout out Paul.
And shout out Paul. I'm pretty sure Paul was a crackhead. Now that I think back, Paul was like, so Paul would pick us up, and we had no idea. You know what I mean? We're all just in high school, and everybody on that bus was broke, of course, because the rich kids wouldn't go sell a newspaper. So it was all the broke kids, and he stopped at a gas station, and he would drop us off in the neighborhood in 100-degree weather in Florida, and we go around these houses just door knocking and asking people if they want to buy a subscription to the newspaper.
Wow.
So that was my first job, and I was happy. I was like, shoot, I got a job, man. I can make some money.
I'm productive, especially at that age.
I'm like, since I was at a young age, I was just like, how can I get some money?
Facts. Facts. Starts early.
Yeah, and most places didn't want to hire me back then, so.
Shout out Paul, man. Shout out the Pauls of the world, actually.
Oh, man. And then from there, man, I mean, I had there's a time after high school where I just felt like such a loser, man. And that's how I ended up in Washington State, because I could, like, in school, I just didn't apply myself. You know what I mean? I knew everyone was going to go to college. I knew my parents didn't have money to pay for college. So I'm like, shit, well, how am I going to focus my energy here?
Yeah.
So I chased girls instead. And it got out of college, got out of high school, and I saw my friends going to college, and I was just like, I felt that pressure to be following those steps. Instead, I opened a map one day. I had a job at a restaurant as a busser.
Okay.
Opened a map, and I'm like, dude, I'm moving. And I looked at Washington State. I was like, I've never been there.
Wow.
But it's on the other side of the country. We're going. Within a week,
wow.
Bought a plane ticket. I came out here with maybe like $1,400 in my pocket. And everybody, my parents went crazy. Everybody thought I was going crazy. But it worked out, man.
You had to do it.
You had to do it. I came out here. I landed at the airport, and I'm like, okay, now what? I didn't even know where I was going to stay.
What age? Wow. What age was this?
I was 19.
Wow.
So I'm 29 today. 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, what was that transition like when you first got here?
So, I mean, it's crazy because I feel like as I look back now, I feel like there are certain events in life that are pure grace. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can't explain why that happened that way. Mm-hmm. But the money that I got here with was because there was this lady, Linda, who my mom cleaned her house for several years. My mom was her cleaning lady. And she had asked my mom, hey, would your son like to help me? I know he works at a restaurant. Would he like to help me out catering this party that I'm having? Mm-hmm. And I helped her cater the party. And super nice lady. I mean, probably like a $15 million home on the beach in Naples, just crazy. Mm-hmm. So I helped her and her husband out for maybe 2.5 hours. And she and her husband cut me a check. She's like, I don't want you to open this till after you get home. And that check was $2,500, and that was the money that I used for my plane ticket. And so that's how I got to Washington State, was with that money. So I was like, okay, this is a sign, because the idea was in my head, and it was in between. And as soon as I got that check, I'm like, okay, we're doing it. This is a sign.
It's crazy how the universe responds to, especially at that time. And sometimes when you're young, you don't probably know how powerful the universe is until you kind of come into the deeper understanding as we get older. But that's a pivotal moment, and we asked those questions because it is important, especially for people listening and watching, to understand the power of reflection, right? Because you'll know exactly where you're going if you can go back and pinpoint certain moments, just like you did right there.
100%. And going one step further to that, I think it's our responsibility. Like someday, or even now, I look for ways to kind of. You never know when you're going to be that person in someone else's life.
That's real.
Like, I think back and I'm like, man, Linda changed my life. You know, it wasn't the money. It was the money at the perfect time.
Exactly.
You know, it could be a message at the perfect time. It could, you know, so you never know, man.
No, that's real.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You know?
It's powerful stuff, man. I mean, that's what we're on this earth for, man, to create those moments. Yeah. And sometimes it happens when it's supposed to happen. But you gotta be aware. You gotta have your eyes open. You know, your third eye, whatever. I don't know.
You gotta be aligned.
You got to, man. Now jumping into real estate, right? You know, a lot of people want to go into that space, and I think transitioning from one industry to another can be, you know, a lofty goal or task or obstacle ahead of you. What was that like for you? Like, how did you prepare yourself to say, okay, I want to start getting into real estate? Like, what was that transition like?
Yeah. So once I got up here, I ended up working restaurant jobs, became a bartender. I got out of like poverty, you know what I mean? I had money to put gas in my car and buy food, so that was cool. I was like, okay, hey. I wasn't driving a 92 Ford Escort that would break down at red lights anymore, so I'm like, okay.
Progress,
man. That's it. And I was like, okay, I still didn't know what I was going to do in my life. I was like, man, you know, but I've always been super interested. And even back then, I was playing around with stocks. I was trying to understand real estate, but it was so foreign to me. You know, I'd pick up these books, man, and I'm like, man, these people, what the hell are they talking? It was so foreign. And I never felt like, so coming from another country, and not being college educated, I always felt inferior in some way at that stage in my life. And I didn't, you know, it was subconscious. I didn't really realize that at the time. So I ended up getting a sales job. I was doing inside sales for a local tech company called Quote Wizard.
Okay.
And this job, man, like I had a friend at the time that was working there, and he's like, dude, you should be in sales. And I was like, man, like I always thought sales, like sleazy sales guy, you know, like used car guy. I was like, nah, it ain't for me, bro. And he eventually talked me into it. And before I started this job, I read a Grant Cardone sales book, and that kind of changed my perspective on sales. So I'm like, okay, well, let me try. Let me really apply myself to this job. And dude, within a month and a half, I was their number one salesperson out of 60 people. And Quote Wizard ended up selling for something like, you know, $150 million. Like it became a pretty substantial company. And for the first time in my life, I was 22 and was earning I broke that 6-figure mark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. I made more money. I'm on track to make more money in 1 year than both of my parents did ever in this country.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, I fucking made it, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except I wasn't fulfilled. I was 6-7 months into this job. The perks were great. The benefits were great. But there was, the people that I was around in the office were like, I'm thinking like, okay, how can I scale this? How can we do more? Mm-hmm. And the company was telling me like, no, here's your quota. If you hit it, great. If you sell any more of that, we keep it all. We ain't paying you no more.
Oh, wow.
I said, what? Does that make any sense?
Come on,
I said, dude, I'm on fire.
I'm trying to fly. I'm trying to clip my wings.
Yeah.
So I kind of started looking around and talking to friends in different industries, doing maybe sales at a company like Salesforce or other tech companies. And all of them were telling me the same thing. Yeah, we're kind of capped.
Yeah.
I said, this is the craziest shit I've ever heard. If I make the company more money, you ain't paying me anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
Wow.
So I saved up some money, and I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, man, at the time I was starting to make some good money on stocks. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I used to, at any given time, have at least 2 to 3 some sort of finance book with me, financial help, how to manage your money, budgeting, that kind of stuff. Dave Ramsey, all sorts of different approaches on finance, because I wanted to see different perspectives. And where am I going with this? So I lost my train of thought. Is this edited at all? Or?
No, we're we were exiting Quote Wizard. Essentially. I just edited it for you. Come on.
Okay. So we're getting out of Quote Wizard. I sat down with one of my best friends at the time. He was an older guy, pretty successful, and he was at Zillow he pretty much started Zillow, and Zillow's $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him at his house. I said, Kurt, listen, man, I saved up some money. I'm thinking about getting in real estate. And we're sitting in the living room. He's like, dude, look me right in the eye. Don't get in real estate. You're never going to make it. It's too competitive. Too many realtors. The realtors are already established. You're never going to make it. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
When it
especially from someone that, you really rock with and you consider.
I was expecting that,
push.
That push. Yeah. And that brought me down so low. And I remember that drive home. And just replaying it back, and as soon as I was like, man, what else am I gonna do now? I was really set on this. And as soon as I pulled up to the house, parked the car, I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going into real estate. Next day I quit my job, got licensed. And I had maybe $20K in savings, and boom, full time in real estate.
Let's get it. I think and what's interesting. First of all, your detail is amazing, by the way, the way you pinpoint. The reflection is important, man. For those listening, I think that's why it's important to reflect so you know your story. Yeah. But what's interesting is what I've noticed is you were always kind of prepping yourself for who you wanted to become, it seemed like. Like you talked about having certain financial resources and books, and even if you didn't have nothing to do at that moment, based on what was in the books, you had it around you. Yeah. You were constantly staying studious and constantly learning. And I think that's a key message for a lot of people out there, where it's like, yo, even if you're not where you want to be, you still got to, prep yourself for who you want to become.
Do something.
Yeah.
100%.
That's important, man.
It is. And I think back, if anybody's at a situation where they don't know what to do, and I've spoken to, a few people that reach out over IG, hey man, I'm 21, trying to just try different things and expose yourself to different industries, and certain things are going to click for you. And then you follow that, and you see if it still pulls at you the same way it did after, several months. Yeah. So yeah, man, dove into real estate. And
when did you feel like you arrived?
I still feel like I haven't arrived. I was like, shit.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to arrive.
Well, when did you, I guess, to the real estate world, when would you say you arrived? Like, what was that first deal? You know, people have that like
first deal.
When that first shot goes in, you're like, okay,
it was the first one.
I'm in the league now.
Oh, dude, it was the first deal was the sweetest deal, bro. I was 6 months in. I had no mentor. I went into the thing just trying to, like, you know, I'm gonna figure this thing out.
Yeah.
6 months in, blew through all my money. I had like $12K credit card debt. My credit card's about to be maxed out. Rent was coming up, and I had 2 roommates, and I didn't know if I could pay rent. And I was like, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen?" And I ain't got no support. I ain't got no parents. I ain't got no friends. You know what I mean? And nobody got money around me. Like, we're all broke.
I gotta
so
figure this out.
You know, I gotta figure this shit out.
Facts.
So the 6 month was my first deal. I got my first deal when I was just like when it was the darkest. You know, I mean, dude, this industry had me borderline in tears more than once. Like, I'm not smart enough, not good enough. I can't do this. I don't understand these contracts. This guy is 50 years old. Why would he trust me to purchase this first out? You know what I mean? Things like that.
Definitely.
And then that first deal came through, and I was holding up a check for $13,000. Wiped out on my debt. I had a little money to pay rent. And that first one was the game changer. So the first 6 months of real estate, I didn't sell anything. The next 6 months of real estate, I sold 19 houses. Wow. And, you know, I think I made that in 6 months, I made something like $180,000, which was more money than I made at my last job. Yeah. And then I was like, that, and at times you ask that question, you know, when did I feel like at times I falsely believed that I arrived. Yeah. Because when you feel like you arrived, you get swooped back down real quick. You know.
Nah, but it's important though, because I think it's you know, we all manifest so much and we want to do things, and like you said, usually when it gets dark, you know, the first time it gets really dark and you overcome it and you see the light, you become more accustomed to that switch, you know, that flip.
I think you just gotta fully commit. Like, you know, the fact that you said the industry almost brought you to tears so many times just shows like how committed you were to it, though. You know, at the end of the day, you still put in the work, and it's like, you know, that's why everything worked out. You know what I'm saying? Because you fully committed.
That energy, man. No, that's real. That's real.
What's interesting is, like, when somebody overcomes adversity, whatever the adversity they're dealing with, and they overcome that, they're now more confident in themselves to go and take up the next thing.
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
So, yeah, man, and then...
I'm actually curious. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm actually curious because there's a lot of people listening and watching to the show who may want to go into real estate, right? Want to jump in, want to take that leap, right? From your perspective, what are some of the most common mistakes you see people make prior to trying to jump into real estate?
Yeah, so the biggest mistake I think people make is underestimating the amount of work and dedication that it will take your first year. Your first year of real estate, you're starting a business. Dude, it is hard to start a business. Like so every realtor that starts on my team now, part of the training is, hey, call your boyfriend, your girlfriend, call your family members and tell them, hey, I'm going to be busy for the next 6 months. Leave me alone. You know, focus on this thing and take it seriously. And then the second thing I would say is you need to burn the boats. I don't take on anybody on the team who's got a part-time job you know, I need somebody to be committed and burn all other options, and this is their only option. Because when somebody's backed up against the wall, you figure it out. You know.
That's real.
Yeah.
No, that's important, man. Because, you know, I think that's the message that people need to hear more times than not, right? Like, we can encourage each other to go do things, but let's keep it real too, right? Especially if you have that knowledge and expertise. So I'm glad you shared that. I'm also curious because part of, like you said, in the second part of the first year, you sold 19 homes, right? Yeah. And as you're building, you know, this is true for every industry, which is your brand name, your reputation, is super important and holds a lot of weight, right? How did you kind of understand that as you were starting to build in? It wasn't just me selling homes, but I'm building my own reputation here. When did that kind of kick in for you?
To be honest, I think it took a couple of years for me to really understand, like, the importance of it. You know what I mean? I knew I wanted to do a good job for people, but but within a couple of years in, I really understood the importance of really going above and beyond and like making the whole experience flawless for a consumer.
Yeah.
You know, it like I always think, and I have a sense of appreciation for great companies. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I'll give you this example I always give, something simple. I was looking for a laptop. I was told, hey, you know, Apple's overpriced. I had a MacBook, but an old one. They're like, Apple's overpriced. You could get the same laptop. Best Buy does all the stuff. It's half the price. Okay, I go to Best Buy, ask the guy, hey, man, here's what I do. What kind of laptop do I need? I don't know anything about laptops.
Yeah.
And he's walking me through all these different laptops, all these terms that I don't know. And I'm like, what? After like 15 minutes later, I still don't know what laptop to get. I walk into an Apple store. Hey, man, I'm looking for a laptop. He asked me 2 questions. What do you do for work? Do you use it for this? Do you use it for that? No? Here's what you need. This is your laptop. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Problem solved.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
So I appreciate great companies that really take care of their consumers.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure, man. That user consumer experience is half the battle, honestly.
Yeah.
Man, on everything. So I kind of want to ask you this too. So like in your own words or whatever, like how would you explain Seattle or King County's or this whole region's, I guess, real estate market?
It's
Good
crazy.
question.
It's crazy, man. Seattle has a shortage of houses. And so I'll give you some context. In a normal real estate market, there's 6 months of inventory, 6 months of houses. That's a good, healthy market. Our market has about 2 weeks of inventory right now.
Wow.
And it's been that case for like the last several years. So there's no houses, bro.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people moving here, there's no houses for sale.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And to add, you know, fire to that fuel, now you got institutional investors. I'm talking about billion-dollar companies coming out and buying a whole block up of houses, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now your average guy is definitely priced out.
Yeah.
You know?
Can't compete.
You can't compete with these hedge
You ain't
funds.
competing with Jeff.
Jeff is gonna buy the whole block up, man. So it's. But with that being said, you know, it's. Can you still get a house? Yeah, you just need a good strategy. You need to know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan in place. And real estate, dude, is like, real estate made me and my family wealthy. Like, it changed my whole game up.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I got a high school education. I barely graduated high school. And I'm able to grasp this thing and grow my net worth by this much with such a simple concept.
Yeah.
And like my whole thing is I try to shout it out from the rooftops.
Yeah.
You know, and people are like, oh man, you're just trying to sell houses. I don't need to sell more houses, bro. We sell enough houses. I'm trying to put other people like, dude, buy something. You know? So I think real estate, even not just in Seattle, but across the nation, all of the US, real estate is a game changer, man.
Yeah. No, and I think the more we hear it and the more we see it, it becomes kind of the norm. But I think there's still some universal laws, right, in every industry. Like, so when you're talking about focus, right, like focus and strategy and planning and being organized and disciplined, regardless of the opportunity and how high the opportunities are, you still got to do all that stuff, right?
100%.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important for people to understand that, like, even if the market is great, you still got to do your due diligence, right?
You got to know what you're doing, man.
Yeah,
or
man.
find somebody that knows what they're doing.
No, that's real. I was curious too, because, you know, being in real estate and you know, there's different ways you can be involved in real estate. You don't necessarily have to be an agent. But I was curious from your perspective as an agent, in terms of competition versus collaboration, right? Because I kind of like look at it like the NBA, right? Like similar, like players compete all the time and they work out with each other in the off season and kind of build and stuff. So how would you compare the two in terms of your industry? Like, obviously you're competing, but do you collaborate? And if so, how does that work? And how's that beneficial for other agents?
100%. So all real estate is either, and when I say real estate, and you're absolutely right, real estate is so broad, you know, but the real estate that I do is I invest, and that's one business, and then there's the real estate sales where we help people buy and sell and invest in real estate. In both businesses, I haven't invented anything, bro. I just go to people that are way smarter, way better, way richer than me and say, what you doing? Let me copy that.
Yeah.
And it's my obligation that when somebody's coming up, I do the same thing.
There you go.
But the truth is, you know, like you could tell 100 realtors your strategy. One dude will go out there and implement it. Yep. The rest will go in 1 year, out the other, and never do it.
Yeah, execution.
Man. There's like all the information is out there.
That's
we got
facts.
Google, you know, like, yeah.
No, that's facts.
I hear you. So, yeah. So what are like, you mentioned some of the forms, but I guess I'm pretty much asking like, what are the pros and the cons kind of like of going into real estate in general?
So I think the pros are you get to make up your own hours. So let's touch on the real estate sales side. You're thinking of becoming a realtor, right? The pros are you get to make your own hours. You get to earn as much money as you want. There's no ceiling on it. The cons are you're plugged in your phone pretty much all day. You know, the cons are it's a lot of work. Yeah. It's a hustle. Now let me touch on the other one, which is real estate investing. I ain't got no cons on real estate investing, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to call them cons. I'd rather call them like, I guess, obstacles or whatever. You know, I don't want to call them cons.
So for real estate investing, I mean, it's all good. I mean, that bit, like that, like my real estate sales business, bro, I work my ass off building up these realtors, like working with clients. My real estate investing business is crazy. Like I make an acquisition, I make a purchase, and every month I just see the money come in and I don't do nothing.
It works for itself.
It works for itself. And I could be wrong and still make money. You know, so that the investing side of real estate is just, it's, you know, what really blew me up in terms of net worth. But the pros of that are leverage, right? Most people could go out and buy their first property today with like 3% down, and borrow 97% of the money from the bank with like a 3% interest rate. And then you get to write that off against your taxes, right? So you lower your tax liability. The cons are, you know, for most people looking to invest in real estate, there's a huge education gap. You know, most first-time consumers are terrified because they read their dad tells them something from when he bought a house 40 years ago, then they see something else online. They don't know what's what.
Misinformation overload.
They need it. The information is out there. They need help making sense of all of it. Is the biggest challenge. But I would say that's probably the biggest obstacle for investing in real estate.
Yeah. So, no, that's solid. That's solid information.
I always like told myself, and like, you know, even my peers, my friends and stuff, they're like, man, to get that, you just need that first one. You know what I'm saying? And it's like once you get that first one, it's kind of like you go through the process, you learn it, and then you kind of just,
bro, it is a simple business. It's a simple business. And I've seen, like, what's cool for me is that, like, I've been at it for 7 years. I've helped people buy a house that they thought never in their life they would own a home. 3 years later, they see their equity go up. They're like, hey, can we do it again? And they do it again.
Exactly.
And like now, fast forward 7 years, like these people are at a completely different position financially just because they made a couple of plays. You know,
man,
so,
it's important, man. And I think, and that's the impact too, you know, that's the impact of the work you do. And sometimes it just feels natural. It just feels easy. Right. And that's when it's, you know, aligned. That's when you're in alignment, I feel like.
100%.
I did want to talk about, you touched on it in answering Erm's question in terms of you're going to be plugged into your phone, right? There's a balance there, right? And we know a very popular topic is the work-life balance. People talk about that shit all the time. And I actually saw that you were featured on a podcast a while back called the Get Shit Done Podcast. And in it, you talked about the power of not only reading good books and good material, but one of the books you read was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And it talked about discipline and when it comes to work-life balance. Can you touch on, from your perspective, how important the work-life balance is or how you even view it?
Yeah, so I have and I don't know if this is correct, but this is the way I see it. I think work-life balance is bullshit, dude.
Come on.
Like,
break it down.
I think there's no buckets in your life. Like it's all life, dude. Like and especially nowadays, I feel like people are connected all the time. So the way I see it is, why not make your whole thing beautiful? Make your work beautiful, make your life beautiful, make the whole thing just flow flawlessly. Because I struggled the first couple of years in real estate finding that balance of work and life, you know, trying to separate the two, and I couldn't do it. You know, and I feel like I'm my happiest when, you know, I could be like, I was in Miami for 2 weeks. I was closing deals from the beach, having a blast. You know, what else am I going to be doing in Miami for 2 weeks? You know what I mean?
Exactly, man.
So
it's all relative. It's all relative. I love that.
But I think it also depends on your industry. You know what I mean? Like
But it is an overarching perspective too, in terms of how you just view life. Right? Because regardless, you can be working you could be working at the grocery store, and you don't have to view that as separate, right? You don't have to put that in a bucket on its own, and then put your family in another bucket and put your friends in another bucket. Just look at everything in its totality, and I think it allows you to be in alignment in everything you do, right?
100%.
That's kind of what I'm getting from that.
That's worked for me. So but I think everybody's got it. I think it's a discovery process. You know what I mean? The older you get, the more you start to see what works for you. Everybody's different. So
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, it looks different for everybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
No, I love it, man, and I love the fact that you know, you really bet on yourself. If we look back at kind of your early stages, and I think there's people who listen and watch this show who may have already bet on themselves or are trying to bet on themselves, you know. And I think that's the biggest thing, is when people hear investing, they think invest money, but really it's investing energy and time, right?
100%, dude. You could get more money, you can't get more time.
Facts.
You know, you could go out and make some more money, but you cannot get more time. And the older I get, the more I pay attention to that. You know, the more the more I focus on that. Like, one interesting thought I had the other day, but like, this is kind of I thought it was an interesting way to look at it. My dad retired, he moved back to Brazil. I see my dad maybe once every 2 years or so. My dad is in his late 70s. So do the math, dude. If I see him once every 2 years, I'm maybe going to see my dad again like another 7 or 8 times. When you think about it like that, you're like, you know, you get goosebumps. You're like, okay, when I'm there, like,
I got to be present.
You got to be present. So I try to think of some things in my life from that lens, because it might have a bit of gloom, but it also brings more weight and focus to that relationship or that thing. So.
No, definitely. Well, I think, you know, going into the lane of betting on yourself and being disciplined to try to build financial freedom, which is what I'm getting as well, may free up your time to allow you to go spend more time
100%.
With those people you love, right?
100%.
That's big, man. That's big.
And dude, I see money as like, I see it in these different buckets of life, you know, like, and I think figuring out the money part is what everyone, I know, like, when I was broke, that's the only thing I'll think of. Dude, money doesn't really make you any happier. Like, that's the truth. Like, the more money I've gotten, the more things I've gotten, I haven't gotten happier. What money does do is it gives you freedom to go do whatever you want to do and spend your time wherever you want to spend it.
Find that happiness.
You know, because that will bring you happiness. You know, being able to do the thing you want to do without having to worry, shit, can I pay my rent? Can I pay my bills?
That's real. That's real.
No,
that's a gem.
For real. Because I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, somebody gave me $1 million today. What would really change? Like, would I really just be like super happy, or am I just happy with the fact that I got that it could free me to do other stuff?
So the freedom to explore and discover.
I
love that, man. Now, you know, we definitely want to tap into some of your current projects that you're working on. You know, as we can tell, this guy stays busy. You know what I'm saying? And, he's always working, always building. And so I remember when we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that you're about to embark on a new chapter, if we want to call it that, in terms of opening up your real estate side to potential investors, and I'll let you explain kind of the details of it, but it's considered a syndication, is that correct?
Syndication, yeah.
So can you break that down in terms of, I guess, your plans for that? And
100%. So the more I dove into real estate, like I started off small, right? I started off investing in a little condo, and then I went out and bought a townhome. Then I went out and bought a single family home. Then I went out and bought a duplex, which is 2 units side by side. Then my last acquisition was, I think we just closed 3 months back. I went out and bought an 18-unit apartment building. Bought the whole damn building, 18 units.
It's getting bigger.
Yeah, it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in every single one of these deals, I mean, dude, I got a good picker, man. I know, they're good. Like, every single one of my deals, like, I double my money within 2 to 3 years, if not more, on top of what I'm getting paid every single month.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this, and people around me, like past clients or friends or people on my team that are now making some money, they're like, dude, let me give you some of my money. I said, it doesn't work like that, Yeah. So I went to look into it. I'm like, okay, if I want to continue doing what I'm doing, and I want to get whoever wants to invest with me, they could invest with me in these buildings. How do I do that? Well, turns out there's a bunch of bullshit you got to go through, man. Because I can't, it's so bureaucratic.
Yeah, they make it that way for a reason.
They make it that way for a reason. And then, I paid a ton of money to go to these seminars and learn how, I met some guys that own 10,000 units, bro. Think about that.
Yeah.
10,000 doors.
That's a
the
lot.
Guy flew to this event in a private jet, and I'm sitting next to him, and I'm like, dude. But what's interesting is, the guys who played this game is rich people already. It's if you look at who owns multifamily real estate, the really big deals, 400, 500, 600 units in the United States, they're all insurance companies. Insurance companies have insurance companies, hedge funds.
Yeah.
So they make the whole game so complicated. And honestly, I feel like they make the whole game so complicated so the average person can't get involved.
It's like a weed out.
It's like a weed out.
Yeah.
Think about this, bro. For most people to go invest, I got a homie, he wants to invest with me. It used to be that the only way he could invest in my syndication was if he was an accredited investor, where you got to earn, I think it's $1 million plus net worth.
Wow.
Wow.
What? How does that make sense? You let that fool go to Vegas.
Yeah.
You don't stop him from spending his money in Vegas, but he can't invest his money.
It don't make sense. It don't add up.
It don't add up.
That's crazy.
It's crazy to think about, man.
Crazy,
and most of the more, the more money I got, I realized dude, the best investment opportunities, the no-brainers, are always open to the people with more money. And it's this whole thing is fucked.
Yeah, it's rigged. It's rigged in a way.
It's so I'm in the process to start the syndication. I got to hire a bunch of attorneys. We got to file with the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. They got to get approved.
Yep.
But the idea of a syndication is basically this, to simplify, because I'm a simple fucking dude.
Come on.
I find a building that makes money. I'm going to throw the bulk of my money in that building. All the debt is going to come on my name. If you want to own 10% of that building, 5% of that building, you give me your money. You're going to have 5%, 10% ownership of the company. Every single month, you're going to get a check. That's going to be your profit. Every single month, my tenants pay their rent. And part of that money, if you own 10%, 10% goes to you every single month. At the end of the year, you get something called, you get to write off the depreciation of that asset against your taxes. And this is another thing that I figured out, dude, taxes is a gambit. I paid more taxes as a bartender than I do today.
Wow.
It is fucked.
Interesting.
And it is, because I'm no accountant. I'm figuring these things out as I'm getting money.
It's the information, though, man. The information barrier.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. It is my assistant last year paid more taxes than I did.
Interesting.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy, and it's so it's very rigged towards the wealthy.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of the syndication is basically that. After we estimate most of our syndication that within 3 to 5 years timeline, what we do is, so if you think about from the time we buy a property, rents are increasing on average in the Seattle area about 13% a year. Crazy.
That's crazy.
In other areas of the country is much higher, right? Yeah. Rents are going up like crazy. Yeah. So every year, the rents of that property are going to increase, which means more of a profit. At around year 4, year 5, and we make it nicer, we fix it up, we increase the rents, and right around year 4, year 5, we do something called a cash out refinance, where we pull all the profits out of the property and pay the investors their profit and then some. And then it's up to the investor if they want to leave their original money in there after the 4th or 5th year. They probably already doubled their money by then, not counting the monthly check that they get. Yeah. And it's up to them if they want to keep their money parked in the syndication or if they want to take it back out and go invest it elsewhere.
That's amazing, man.
But if you look at the returns, like, dude, I'll beat the stock market any day of the week.
Yeah.
Like if you add up 5 years of investing in a good multifamily syndication compared to investing in stocks, it's a no-brainer. It'll get you a better return.
And I think what's interesting about that is, like you said, it's rigged for the wealthy, so to speak. And I think there's a lot of things we can say that for too, right? But part of it is, you spent some time before you got into real estate to overcome some hurdles, right? Yeah. To go to another level. And I think this is kind of the resistance you feel going into this is that, right? It's that new level you're trying to embark on and get into. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out to that horn, man. I think it was signaling the alarm or something. Yeah. Letting you know you're going into this new level, you know what I'm saying? You like that right there? You like that?
That's good.
The syndication though, man, that's well, I just want to say I appreciate you for that because you're giving everybody a chance to like invest in stuff. And,
definitely.
And you're like, it's disruptive, but in a good way. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? How you were saying, like, the big companies lock people out or, they make it super hard, So, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think a lot of people, and it could be a lot of people's first way or entry point into just the real estate world.
Bro, and that's the thing we're trying to do is give everybody a little insight into it. Because now if you got $1,000 into this thing, what are you doing? You're watching it. You're paying attention. When you're paying attention, you're learning. And then you become slowly more interested. Become more interested next time you invest a little more. Maybe with me, maybe someone else, maybe by yourself. And that, like, little changes like that, dude, it will change the whole trajectory of your life.
That's real.
Like,
that's real.
Yeah.
That's real, man. I'm loving the gems, man. Yeah. You're man. You're definitely a wealth of knowledge, literally. And I think a lot of people will appreciate this episode and just appreciate the work you do, and hopefully they stay connected and stay tapped in. For them to stay connected and stay tapped in, where's the best way they can connect with you or follow you on socials or
check me out on Instagram. That's usually best. Luke LUKE_is_winning.
Okay.
Yeah, the winning
like
team,
baby.
Let them know what you're doing. What you've been up to. I've been winning. I love it, man. Actually, I did want to ask, what are you excited for when it comes to the future? Like, when you look into the future, what excites you? What gets you kind of like inspired?
Dude, like I'm always fascinated. Like I feel like we're alive at the greatest time ever. Like the amount of opportunities that are out there. But one thing I'm really stoked about is I'm really excited by crypto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been in crypto for 6 years now, and it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I really, I bought probably about 12 books on the history of money and crypto to really understand, what it's trying to accomplish. And I think crypto is gonna level out the playing field. It's gonna take some time, but I think it's gonna level out the playing field for everybody. There's no reason why just because somebody's born in America they should have a better chance because somebody's born in Brazil and they don't have access. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's very sadly still like that, dude. Like you're born in certain parts of the world and hey, you're out of the game just because you were born there.
Structured and set up in a way. Definitely.
So I think that'll level out the playing field.
Was one of those books, The Internet of Money, in there?
I don't think so.
It's a popular book I came across. I've seen. It was actually by it's written by one of like the early adopters.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. I think, like you said, it's interesting and it's important people to just kind of learn, right? Do your 10,000 hours, so to speak.
Yeah.
And learn. Okay, you about to buy something in the metaverse? You looking into real estate in the metaverse? I don't have to bring it up. We were talking about it before the show, so I was like,
bro,
why not
I haven't looked into NFTs too much, but it's funny because like my homie back in Florida, best friend, he's the guy that got me involved in crypto 6 years ago. He's one of the smartest, yeah, for real, one of the smartest guys I know. And dude, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I'd go into his house. He have all these computers because he was mining.
Yeah.
I said, "You freaking nerd! What are you doing over there?" But dude, like that thing, like I bought 2 coins 6 years ago for like I don't know $5,000-6,000, 2 Bitcoins, and like I haven't sold. And I'm like, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, because like I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, it's that trust though. You trusted him, man.
Yeah. So it's. You know, I haven't dove into the NFTs and the metaverse. I'm a simple dude.
No, I hear you. I'm kind of curious though to ask, like, as a real estate investor and agent and stuff, like when you see that, like, what I don't know, like, what do you think,
dude? I get excited, man. I get like I think the world is ever evolving. I think when people see something like that, they get threatened by a new industry. Your mind, you got to get your mindset checked. You know what I mean? Like there's opportunity everywhere.
You're right, bro.
You know, so it's I embrace change. You know, like it's
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, hey man, we might see you in the metaverse, man. I might start a syndication up in there. I don't know. But yeah, man, this has been a very fruitful and beneficial conversation, bro. But before we get you out of here, we always ask our guests this question. So if you can, my brother, what's one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up and why?
Passion. Passion, man. I think if you choose to do something, if you buy into something, it could be a relationship, a job, a friendship. You need to find ways to get excited about that thing every day and bring a level of passion to it, right? It's and try to carry that around with you on a day-to-day basis. Makes life sweeter. You know?
I love it, man.
I hear you.
Passion, man. Gotta respect your passion.
Of course.
Gotta respect your passion.
Protect it too, man.
Protect your passion. Anything else? You guys anything? No? Invest in your passion. We can go for days, man. But yeah, man, Lucas, again, we just want to salute you and thank you for coming to the show and sharing some of your journey and your stories. Super inspiring, and hopefully those listening and watching, the family members, as we call them, can definitely take away something from this episode. Erm, you got anything you want to say?
Man, it was a great episode, man. Like, you know, honestly, I learned a lot. You painted a great picture, man, and I'm definitely excited for that syndication, man.
Of course, man.
Be on the lookout.
Hell yeah, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. I hope I was able to provide some value here. And if anybody out there, you know, has any questions in regards to anything, I'm an open book, man. Feel free to reach out to me with questions regarding finance, real estate, anything. I think each one should teach one, and that's what I'm all about.
On, man.
So.
I love it. Well, on that note, we'll end it there. Again, you got support with us here at the UpNUp always.
Thank you.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's safe to say Lucas Pinto and his entire team are officially members of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire UpNUp movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us at _ the UpNUp on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the UpNUp has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
Keep it on the up and up.